Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tea Time with Tuskeh. It's Friday, the 16th of September, so sit back, relax with a cup of tea, prepare for the weekend, and let's chat about WoW news, content, and discussion. Just as a quick note, this series of videos will be running Monday to Friday, which means no tea time on the weekends. That's how that's going to work. I'm going to need some time off. So, let's get started with the news. So Blizzard have announced the BlizzCon in-game goodies with a little sneak peek as to what we will be getting if you get either a virtual ticket or you just go to BlizzCon. For World of Warcraft, you will get a Legionnaire Murky and Knight Captain Murky. I'm assuming that you get them based upon your faction. I don't know if you only get one or the other. Not sure how that works, but Blizzard generally tend to be quite generous with this kind of thing, so I'm sure you'll get both. For Overwatch, you are going to get a BlizzCon Bastion skin with a Ganymede that looks surprisingly like Pepe, which is not much of a surprise. Pepe is kind of transcendent these days, so there you go. You will get a Diablo pet for Diablo 3, which is in the design of the original Diablo, not the Diablo that we saw in the third game, so that's really cool as well. You will get a Welcome In card back for Hearthstone. More card backs for Hearthstone is always good. You will get the Nexus Tiger mount for Heroes of the Storm, which actually I think looks really cool. And you will get a portrait for StarCraft 2, and, I quote, "Be among the first to unlock a fun new piece of upcoming StarCraft 2 content. Stay tuned for more details." I have no idea what that means. I'm assuming it's going to be either a new commander for StarCraft 2 or maybe a new kind of episodic thing with Nova or someone else. I don't really follow StarCraft 2, so I can only guess, and I can't really make an informed guess. So that's just my guess there. So you can order your virtual tickets actually right now. There's a link in the description if you want to do that. And I am very excited to announce that I will be going to BlizzCon with a couple of friends this year. I went last year and it was amazing, and we've been saving up for this year as well, and I simply cannot wait to go back there. It is the best. It really is. Some of the best days of last year were spent at BlizzCon. I cannot wait. So Ian Hazakostas has posted on the forums and stated that there are going to be no big class balance changes until after the Emerald Nightmare releases. However, that said, there are going to be Windwalker Monk and Havoc Demon Hunter nerfs to their area of effect abilities because they are very strong right now and do likely need a little bit of tuning. So yeah, that's not too much of a surprise that they're going to be doing class balancing and a little bit more kind of tweaking before the Mythics open up. That's not really that much of a surprise. And this kind of thing is to be entirely expected. So I look forward to seeing what things change, what things don't, and until then, don't take the leaked patch 7.1 build notes to mean anything. They are just tooltip changes. I said this yesterday, but I'm going to say it again. Don't take those as gospel. Wait until you get official notes from Blizzard, which might take some time. Another cool hotfix is that rings and amulets that are legendary will now have sockets in them, even ones that have already dropped. So if you have a legendary, make sure you double check, and if it's a ring or an amulet, then you will be able to put a gem in it, which is great. And finally, Blizzard have posted a Mythic Keystone preview that details how Mythic Plus dungeons are going to work. Definitely give this a read if you intend to do Mythic Plus dungeons at any point, especially next week, so there's no confusion as to how Keystones work and the various situations you'll find yourself in and what exactly you're going to be doing. So that, again, will be in the description. Make sure you read that. So here's a cool little tip for you that I actually discovered via Bellular. Go into key bindings, then targeting, and bind target scan enemy hold to something. This will help you target enemies by providing a highlight of an enemy in front of your character while you're holding the button. So you can actually change targets by moving your character and rotating them a little bit, and then you release the key binding to target them. This is actually really helpful for tanks or for melee characters trying to swap in hectic situations where enemies are all running around. So if you at all have targeting problems, try this out and see if it helps. Onto the screenshot of the day. This is a screenshot that's cool, pretty, or interesting. You can send in screenshots via twitter.com/Tuskeh or mail them to me. Today's screenshot is from Potters on Twitter, and it's of the Naglfar in the Maw of Souls. This is the big ship that you go on. Did you know that the ship is actually being rowed by Kvaldir, and that you can see them if you look through the floor? There are a few gaps where you can see glimpses of them, but as a demon hunter, Potters activated his Spectral Sight ability and saw just how many boatsmen are rowing the Naglfar, and it's very impressive. I love little details like this in the game. It's so cool. I really like the idea you've got these cursed souls rowing this boat endlessly. I think it's really cool, and I love that Blizzard actually put in some work, an artist and a designer put in some work to have those guys there, and I'm so very happy with it. Again, send in screenshots via twitter.com/Tuskeh or mail them to me using the link in the description. Moving on to the Q&A. You can send in your questions via comments or again on twitter.com/Tuskeh, or you can just mail me. Bruce Sheldon on Twitter asks, how are you liking the Rogue, and what does your husband play? Starting with the Rogue, well, I love it. It feels great to play, it has some respectable damage right now, and I haven't really felt restricted at all in the content that I can access. Because I've often worried that as a pure DPS class, maybe there are some pieces of content that you just can't do. The Withered training scenario comes into mind particularly, but I haven't really felt limited in any kind of way, which is really, really good design. I'm very happy that I picked Rogue in Legion, and through the really cool class hall campaign, the hidden nature of the hall in Dalaran, which never ceases to make me feel like a badass, and working with the best rogues in history, it's just great. I love it, I really do. So I'm very happy that I picked the Rogue. Now my husband plays a protection warrior, and he has done so since the Burning Crusade. He's a WoW veteran, he has been raiding since vanilla, and at first he didn't actually like Skyhold, his class order hall, or Odin, the guy in charge of his order hall. But over time, he's really warmed up to both. I've watched this happen over the course of Legion, and although at first he was kind of a bit meh about it, now he's really, really happy to kind of overlook the Broken Isles like a watchful protector, and just think, okay, where am I going today? Ha! Valshara! And just jump straight down and just land, because you're a warrior, you're badass. I think that's really, really cool, and he always gets the places before I do, which is really annoying, because I'm just sitting there on my piddly little flight path like, yep, I'm on my way. Just hang on. Whereas he's already at the place we need to go to, so I think that's really, really cool, and he's very happy with it. Quite a few folk have asked if I stream. Now, right now I do not, but I fully intend to stream my raid team's raids, starting next Tuesday. The streams will happen between 8 PM and 12:30 AM Eastern Standard Time, because those are the hours that we raid, and I'll be uploading those raids onto this channel for video on demand as well. I'm also considering streaming the team's Mythic and Mythic Plus runs, depending upon the schedule that we nail down. So that's a possibility for the upcoming weeks as well. It's all up in the air right now. Legion's only been out for a couple of weeks, so I may do, I may not. We'll have to wait and see. It's very likely that I'm going to be streaming every raid that I go into, but other than that, like I said, it's up in the air. Finally, Chris Fox asks, why Troll? Is it the first race you chose, or do you just like the way they look? So, little story time now. Troll wasn't actually the first race I picked. I actually started as a Forsaken in vanilla, and for a fair while I just played a Forsaken warrior. My first level 70 in the Burning Crusade wasn't a Forsaken or a Troll, it was actually a Tauren. It was a Tauren Shaman. It was a slow process, but over time I started to really enjoy the Trolls as a race. Their accents, their story, their whole personality, it really intrigued me. But the expansion that really secured my love for the Troll race was Mists of Pandaria. So you had tensions between Vol'jin and Garrosh, the Zandalari scouting party, and Zul on the Isle of Thunder, and the book Vol'jin, Shadows of the Horde, which goes into fantastic detail about the Trolls, their relationship with each other, their regenerative capabilities, what they think of the other races, and, most importantly, their relationship with the lower spirits. Since then, I've studied the Troll race's history and just fallen completely in love with it. I'd love to see more stuff with them as well, but I doubt we will. Their history is tragic and deep and intriguing, and I love it. I really do. Like I said, I doubt we'll see more of it, but if we do, I will be all over it immediately. Again, if you have questions, just throw them in comments, mail them to me, or tweet me at twitter.com/Tuskeh. To round out this week's tea time, let's nerd out about lore. Today I'm going to be reading you an excerpt from Vol'jin, Shadows of the Horde by Michael A. Stackpole. This scene happens as Vol'jin recovers from nearly being assassinated by Garrosh's henchmen back in Mists of Pandaria, and the Zandalari tribe is about to attack the Pandaren Shadowpan monastery that he has befriended and is recovering in. He makes a decision to fight with the Pandaren against the Zandalari trolls, and then goes to commune with the lower and is surprised to receive a message from his dead father. This is just a small excerpt of that chapter. I'm not going to be reading the whole thing, obviously, just to give you an idea of what this story is like and the kind of detail it goes into regarding the trolls. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions for the show, thoughts, comments, or suggestions, you can contact me using the links in the description, or you can just leave a comment. If you want to help support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon page in the description as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the World of Warcraft. Vol'jin felt his father's presence and dared not open his eyes. The Shadowhunter had gone to his cell in the monastery and isolated himself despite the frenzy of activity going on in preparation for the coming assault. He firmly believed everything he'd said to Taranzu about belonging there, about the monastery being a new home and the bond of his likeness having been carved into the mountain's bones. So strong had been his conviction that he felt the need to immediately communicate with the Lower. Though what he was doing was right, of that he had no doubt, he could imagine the Lower turning their backs on him. They might view what the Zandalari were doing as harmful, but his commitment to the Pandaren cause might also be seen as hurtful to trolls. The sense of his father reassured him, at least in that he felt no hostility. Vol'jin forced himself to breathe in and out evenly. He combined what he had learned in the monastery with older practices. He came to the Lower as a Shadowhunter should, certain and resolute. And yet, as an adult who had revered and treasured his father and his father's dreams, he took youthful joy in Sen'jin having come first. Vol'jin looked, seeing without opening his eyes. His father stood there, a bit more bent with age than Vol'jin liked to remember him, but still bright of eye. His father wore a heavy, hooded cloak of blue wool, but the hood lay back against his shoulders. He appeared to be smiling. The Shadowhunter made no attempt at hiding his own smile, though it lasted for mere moments. Is this what you expected of me? Opposing the Zandalari here, in a place where you must fall? Committing yourself to a battle that you cannot win, for the sake of a people who do not understand you and do not care to? Sen'jin, his shoulders slumping, shook his head. No, my son. Vol'jin looked down, his heart aching. It felt as if a rusty chain, festooned with spikes, had been wrapped around his heart and pulled tight. If he had only one goal in life, it was to make his father proud. And yet, if I must disappoint him, so be it. His father's voice came softly, with a hint of mirth beneath its gravity. This is not what I expected of you, Vol'jin, but what the Lower expect of Shadowhunters. While I did not expect it of you, I always knew you would be rising to this height when the time came. Vol'jin looked up, the pressure in his chest easing. I don't think I fully understand, father. You, Vol'jin, are my son. I am enormously proud of you and all you have accomplished. His father's spirit raised a finger. But when you became a Shadowhunter, you transcended being my son. You became a father for all trolls. You bear responsibility for all of us, for what we are going to become. Our future is in your hands, and there is no one I can think of who can be more trusted with it. The world shifted around Vol'jin. Without moving, he found himself standing beside his father. He watched stars explode in a night sky rich with explosions. He watched Azeroth coalesce from nothing. The Lower came and granted the trolls their very nature, bargaining in return for eternal supplication and worship. Wars and calamities, good and joyful times, all flashed past, shining satin moments on the ribbon of history. No matter what he saw, no matter how brief the glimpse, Vol'jin picked out a Shadowhunter, or 2, or 5. Sometimes they had moved to the fore, often they stood beside or behind a dynamic leader. Occasionally they huddled together as a council. Always was their endorsement sought and the wisdom of their decisions respected. That is just a small preview of what Vol'jin Shadows of the Horde offers in terms of lore for troll history. I would definitely recommend it.